Um, okay, so this is my first YouTube live. I don't know why I chose to do my video this way today, and I wasn't really even planning on talking about this topic at all, but it just hit me like a load of bricks in the past 30 minutes, and everything inside of me is like screaming at me that I have to share. So March 17th, which was 2 days ago, is a reminder to me. Right in the midst of like the YouTube or metoo movement, the metoo movement, I had just moved to San Francisco in March, or February, 2 years ago, and I was in the middle of a divorce, feeling extremely vulnerable and alone in my experience of divorce, and just really learning how to speak and act in a way that was more empowering. It was a new idea for me to really be in that space of courage. And I was walking down the street. It was about 9 in the evening, so not super late, but St. Patrick's Day. And as you all know, many people go out and drink on St. Patrick's Day. I used to do that. Like, yeah. But I was walking down the street in my new spot in San Francisco, which moving there was a big deal for me. And this man who didn't seem much older than me, maybe we were the same age, clean shaven, he had his back towards me. And as I walked by him, he turned and looked over his shoulder at me, and I could just sense something was like really off. And so I crossed the street before the light turned green, because I just felt like I needed to like distance myself from him. Well, sure enough, I started hearing his footsteps following me across the street. And so I started walking faster, and I started hearing the footsteps moving faster. And so I started running. And I looked behind me slightly as I was running, just to let him know, I see you. But as I started running, he started running. And I realized that he was chasing me, and he wasn't going to stop. So I thought that I had two options: either to be caught by him and potentially raped, or worse, or run out in the middle of the street. And I chose to run out in the middle of the street. Luckily, there wasn't a car in the lane that I ran into, but as I ran into the street, I turned around and looked at him, and I screamed at him to just leave me alone, like go away, But he started coming out into the middle of the street after me, and I realized then he had his penis out and he was masturbating and reaching his hand out to grab me. So I just started screaming at the top of my lungs, are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's what I was screaming. Are you kidding me? Like, what are you doing? Are you kidding me? Just terrified, but also trying to like scare him. And as I was screaming, he slowly started backing away. And when he started backing away a little bit, I ran. And the problem was, when I started running away from him and stopped screaming, he continued to chase me again. So I had to literally scream for, I don't know, a good 4 or 5 minutes. It seemed like longer, until he was far enough away from me to where I could run to where I was going. And the problem with this whole experience of the Me Too was that, like, I didn't know what had just happened to me. Like, he didn't actually touch or attack me. But I did know that, like, every time I went outside for the next few months, I would shake and I would think someone was behind me, and I would feel something grab me, and nothing was there. And it was so frustrating to me because it was like I had just found this new way of opening myself up and of really feeling stronger than I'd ever felt. And this man took that from me. And I wanted to just close. Like, the last thing I wanted to do was be open. And it was so irritating that I had done so much work and had come so far, and this person just felt that they could do that. And I didn't want him to win, right? Like, I didn't want to be scared because I had spent so long being scared. And I guess I just want to share this because I know that news moves quickly in this day and age, and that things start to fade over time, as everything does. But I never spoke out about my experience because of a few reasons. One, I didn't want to like see myself as a victim of sexual assault. Like, I was like, no, that is not me. I was in denial. Two, when I actually shared my experience with a few people, I got such mixed reactions. Some people actually laughed and thought it was funny. Some people were like very empathetic and just very much, allowed me to process that how I needed to. But I think it was the fact that it was a mixed reaction from people that prevented me from like fully speaking out and saying like, me too. Like, right in the middle of this Me Too movement, I didn't say anything, and this had happened. And I think also a big part of me felt guilty. Like, not that like I deserved that, but guilty in the sense that like people have suffered so much worse than me, and like I don't want to be someone who's just jumping on the wagon and saying like, oh, me too, just to like be part of the conversation. I don't know. There was so much like doubt that the whole experience put on me. And I think, looking back now, maybe a lot of people experienced this. Maybe there's a lot of people who experience this whole idea of Me Too and didn't speak out because of these same reasons. I can think of many experiences that I've had now since I was young, like a teenager even, where I felt my innocence slightly pulled from me, in a small way without my consent. And it just brings up a lot of emotions, a lot of, I think, societal training that I went through, as we all have, to think that it's okay and that we should just expect it, being attractive women or anyone across the gender spectrum, that it's just to be expected. And I used to model. I still do model, and being told like that's just what you get for putting yourself out there like that. And I just think that that's bullshit, and I'll never be okay with it. And I don't have to forgive those people and that man. And that doesn't, the fact that this happened to me doesn't mean anything about me. You know, it means that I was a victim of someone else's pain and someone else's mental instability. And that I can stay open while allowing myself to heal and protect myself. One thing I did was, since it was sort of a PTSD reaction I was having, where every single day I would leave my home and think someone was following me, whether it was day or night, I allowed myself to be scared in that moment. And instead of shaming myself for being scared, reminding myself, like, you're scared for a reason, because something traumatic happened to you, and it makes sense, and you're valid in that fear, and it's going to be a little bit better tomorrow, and you can still slowly open up at your own pace when you're ready. And that was how I processed it, and that was true for me, and it worked for me. And it took a few months, and for some it may take years, and for some it may take forever to sort of heal. But it is possible, and I made it a priority, because feeling open and feeling empowered to be vulnerable is something that I highly value in others and in myself. And part of me taking my power back was being able to courageously stay open. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. And I don't know if this would reawaken anything in any of you watching, but I would love to hear anything that this brings up for you. And I appreciate you taking the time to watch. And yeah, that's all I have. Thanks.